to welcome to HeliPilotGh, where we talk about major aviation issues, talk about everything in aviation. I am a helicopter pilot, so when I talk about helicopters a lot, don't get bored. You know, of an unfortunate incident that's happened again, this time in Philadelphia, involving a Learjet aircraft. And it's an unfortunate incident again. And my condolences to all those involved. It's not my intention once more to prejudice the investigation. I'm just here to stir up discussions so that we can learn from these things in my part of the world here, Ghana. So we are going to focus on this tragic crash of the Learjet 55. So this was a devastating accident involving a medical evacuation aircraft, which tragically ended in a fiery crash in a residential area just after takeoff. But beyond the heartbreaking event, you see, there was an important question for us here in Ghana. What can we learn? We have a lot of urban developments around our airports, especially Accra, and it seems to be a prime area. I think we're having same similar thing in Takoradi, Tamale, and Kumasi. But in Accra, it looks like if you live next to the airport, you're bourgeois, you're like an important person. But we don't know that these things can happen when you live close to an airport. And what will you do if there's an emergency? There are countries where people don't like to live near airports because of the noise and because of the associated risks. But here in my part of the world, we seem to like to live near the airport because it looks like it is big time, so to say. But looking at this accident, don't you think that is something we should think about, like living next to an international airport? So what happened? On January 31, 2025, at about 6 p.m. local time, a Learjet aircraft that's operated like it's an air ambulance by Jet Rescue Air Ambulance took off from Philadelphia Airport, and it was on a medical mission carrying a patient, a mother, doctor, and a paramedic with the two pilots, obviously. Just after takeoff, the jet climbed to 1,650 feet before something went wrong, terribly wrong. The flight data from Flight Radar 24 shows that the aircraft entered a steep dive at 11,000 feet. My God, per minute. In seconds, it just crashed into a residential neighborhood near Roosevelt Mall, and there was a massive explosion. And there are so many videos, like amateur videos around. And emergency responders arrived within minutes, but the intensity of the fire and the impact meant that nobody could survive. The crash also set a couple of homes on fire, and it injured some residents and destroyed property. What could have gone wrong? Investigators from the National Transportation Safety Board, that's the NTS, and the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, have launched an inquiry into the crash, and some key areas that they will be looking at will be pilot error or spatial disorientation. So did the pilots lose situational awareness just after takeoff? They could also look at mechanical failure. Did the system malfunction, such as engine failure or flight control issues, cause a sudden dive? Could there have been weather? Could there have been turbulence or icing? They could also look at the aircraft maintenance history. Was the aircraft properly maintained before the flight? Were all the checks done? According to ICAO's Annex 8, that's airworthiness of aircraft, every aircraft must undergo regular inspections to ensure safety operations. And if there were unresolved technical issues, that could be a major factor. How does this relate to Ghana? Let's bring this home. In Ghana, people want to live around the airport. So they are looking at Cantonments, Airport Hills, East Legon, around the airport. How safe is it to live around the airport? It's in the news that lands around the airport are very expensive. But how safe is it? The crash in Philadelphia is a real life warning of what will happen if an aircraft suffers an emergency near an urban area. Imagine an aircraft is taking off from Kotoka towards Cantonments and loses power. We don't want that to happen. But what could be the casualty? Look at the disaster it will cause if the aircraft hits the ground. For example, the aircraft is taking off towards East Legon. Same thing. Going forward, we must look at how we settle around the urban areas, how we settle around the airport, that's urban development around the airport. Ghana came close to an issue like this in 2012 with the Allied runway overrun, where the Allied aircraft, that's the Boeing 727, overshot the runway and crashed just next to Elwak Stadium. The Hajj village was not operational at the time there, at that time. What could have happened if that was there. Even with that, it managed to take the lives of people on ground because it ran into them. I think it ran into a bus. What are the key lessons for us here in Ghana? Here's what Ghanaian authorities and communities can learn from this tragedy to prepare for similar incidents. We must always strengthen zoning laws around airports. When too many residential areas creep dangerously close to the airport or the airport perimeter, those who have the power must ensure, ICAO Annex 14 talks about aerodromes, and there are standards for airport planning, which include buffer zones. And these zones are important because anything can happen. Aviation is safe, but unforgiving. That's the thing. Aviation is a very safe area, but it's unforgiving if you make a mistake. So we really need to take this serious. We also have to look at improving emergency response readiness. Fire and rescue teams at the Philadelphia's airport responding within minutes. Does Ghana have the capability? We have the same capability and the capacity. Our authorities must ensure that these stations and these hospitals are strategically placed to handle aviation disasters. So in Ghana, for instance, in Kotoka, we have the airport clinic and we'll have the 37 hospital, there's police hospital close by, a couple of clinics around. Also, public awareness on aviation risks is very important. Many people live near Ghana's airport and they don't really understand the risk associated with it. They think it's cool to live next to an airport. And we need to let them know the reality that an aircraft on final can have an incident, or an aircraft on takeoff can have an incident. It is just like having an earthquake or floods. The other thing too is that we must look at ensuring strict aircraft maintenance standards. So like again, the authority must ensure ICAO's Annex 8, which is the airworthiness of aircraft. This is to prevent certain failures, technical failures. And this is done through obviously regular inspections and compliance. And also audits, as compliance audits should be priority. Should you be worried if you live next to an airport? Let me give you a few minutes to answer. Should you be worried if you live next to an airport? If you live next to an airport, here are some few things to consider. Noise and health impact. Constant exposure to aircraft noise will affect your sleep. It will increase your stress, especially learning about this Philadelphia issue. And you should look at safety precautions. Are there clear evacuation routes in case of an aircraft crash? Do we know where the nearest emergency response unit is if an aircraft crashes into your neighborhood? Advocate for stronger regulations. Residents near Ghana airports should push for better urban planning, and better aviation safety measures because all the same safe for them. And also, aviation accidents are rare, but preparation is key. And like I mentioned, aviation is very safe, but mistakes are fatal. This Philadelphia Learjet crash is heartbreaking, and it is a reminder that it is not just about pilots and planes, it's about communities on the ground also. All of us play a part. Ghanaians must learn from these global incidents. Let's not sit aloof as if it cannot happen, because it can happen. Let's take proactive measures to prevent similar disasters. We are sort of a safe space in Ghana. We don't have hurricanes, we have so many natural disasters, but these things can happen. If you live around the airport, please stay informed and take precautions and also advocate for these measures. And also follow me on YouTube. If you found this discussion insightful, please don't hesitate to share, like, subscribe, and continue the conversation. If you live next to an airport or live close to an airport, let me know what you think about this. Let me know whether what I'm saying is true or not. Let me know what steps you are taking. HeliPilotGh. Cheers.